This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Regina League.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast here in South Charlotte. And I'd love to welcome Olga Dadalko. She is the owner of Atha Yoga in Blakeney Shopping Center. How are you, Olga?
Good morning. I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
So good. I met you years ago when I took hot yoga. Oh, my goodness. What a studio you have.
Thank you so much.
Well, I am dying to know a little bit about your story. I am fascinated by the world of yoga and all the benefits. But let's start with you. How did you get into this? How did you name it? Does that name mean something? So tell us your journey.
Oh, goodness. You got me on my favorite horse right now. Well, I stumbled upon hot yoga about 15 years ago. I came to Nashville, to a beautiful sunny town out of pretty cold Detroit, to a graduate school to study neuroscience. And the graduate school is an intense experience. So I needed something sustainable and something to keep my stress levels at bay. So when I came to hot yoga, it kind of killed two birds with the same stone, because I received both the mental health practice and the fitness routine. And for a busy graduate student, it was really a golden approach to health and wellness altogether. So long story short, people started to share their experiences, and I learned that through the practice, a lot of people, got off their antidepressants, and hot yoga helped them battle addiction and anxiety. And I personally was on Synthroid for my malfunctioning thyroid for about 7 years by then. And I myself got myself off the Synthroid, and it's all thanks to this hot yoga practice. So I'm really a believer that the system works. And as a scientist, we finally started to get interested in why these practices work so effectively. And there is just now so much research already building up, showing why it works the way it does, both for mental health and for physical health. So I did my postdoc working with the scientists and neuropsychologists in Wisconsin. We were looking at how brain changes when we engage in practices like this. And when I came to Charlotte, I opened my baby, my Atha, which was a dream since I began yoga back when I was the first year graduate student in Nashville.
So does this mean you gave up your career path of neuroscience and are doing this full time?
I don't think I gave up my career as a neuroscientist. I really am blending these, or bringing this approach into the fitness and yoga world, because what we do in my studio a lot, and I have the support of my amazing, very experienced, skilled teachers, we design the curriculum, the classes, and the trainings in such a way that really is having the both sides, the contemporary Western biomedical knowledge, all the new nuances, right, that they come up with in mental health frontier, in kinesiology and exercise science. And with the second, food standing in this centuries proven Eastern approaches, blending the two together is really where it's at, I think. So I'm using all this that I acquired to really make a difference in people's health and wellness. And it's very rewarding, really.
Oh, I can see it. Yeah. Who is a candidate for hot yoga?
Who is a can? Oh, that's a tricky question. Everybody.
It's a journey. I would say learning and adapting to the heat.
Adapting to the heat is a journey which is both physical and mental. And I want to say it's more mental than physical, simply because, and there is a lot of, neuroscientific research into that right now. We tend to shy away from things that we think we don't like. However, what science is showing, when we challenge ourselves just a little bit to do things that we're not necessarily so fond of, a portion of our brain that is responsible for our resilience and coping is expanding, and it's helping us to navigate life with a little bit better skill and more of a calm approach, helps us to react less. So it's important to step into things that you not necessarily are crazy about.
Right.
And getting used to the heat is very doable.
Huh. I think
with a mindful approach.
Yeah, I think mine was a mental state then. Interesting. So this leads me to wonder, what are the misconceptions? And I would say there are many. We've just addressed one. If it's not comfortable, you feel like, "Ooh, this isn't for me." But it sounds like that's almost the point in some ways.
Yeah, and it really teaches us. For me personally, when I first stepped into a hot room, I was grossly out of shape, and my my method to de-stress myself was quite common. When you're in your 20s and you grad school, it's a lot of drinking, which is not necessarily very sustainable, especially if you want to keep ticking for a little more effectively. But with the heat being a tool, you really learn how to breathe through anything that comes up. And for a lot of us in this society, the type A personalities, we kind of tend to be this perfectionists, right? Kind of relying on that judge of ours that really is telling us this whole narrative of not enoughness, or that we're not doing enough. And just stepping back a little bit and really mindfully and kindly approaching yourself and learning your own tendencies with the tool of a heat and mindful practice is starting to shift the narrative. Neuroscientists, neuropsychologists call this negativity bias, which is our brain's skill to keep us protected. But when it overdoes it, we become troubled with ailments such as anxiety and depression and PTSD and disorders like that, which are really elevated right now in our society. So using these practices and using this heat is helping us to really become better and more aware, and really gather all the tools that we can use in our demanding lives when we have to juggle so much.
Ideally, how many times a week to reap all of those wonderful benefits you shared? How often?
Great question. So when we're trying to get used to the heat, right, people sometimes would come just once a week and tell me, well, I cannot get used to this. Once a week is too rare. 3 times a week will be really good to get used to the heat. But the way I designed the studio and the curriculum at the studio is that I'm not a huge fan of, hot yoga every day. What I really call people in my community to engage with is you do an intense heated practice today, and then tomorrow you come to my meditation, and we learn how to get the brain skillful in recognizing your, for example, negative emotions, or how to cultivate the skill of loving kindness, which research shows is really paramount in shifting a lot of mental health paradigms that are troubling us in the current society. And then, the following day you come in for yin yoga, which is yoga for joints and keeps our range of motion long into our old age. And then the following day you come again for, power yoga or hot yoga to get your physical workout and exercise back into your routine. So we really try to keep it balanced and approach this with a great dose of mindfulness, which I think separates us from the rest of the establishments.
Yeah, it's sounds like it's a lifestyle that you're wanting, for your clients to embrace.
It is a lifestyle, it's a lifestyle of mindfulness and sustainable tools, to acquire all these techniques that would help not just on the mat, right, but really off the mat, outside of the studio, when you're having a difficult conversation with your significant other or with your boss, or, having some issues with the kids, which we all, I'm sure, experiencing from time to time.
Right, right. So I know from coming there's a lot of men that also come to your classes.
Yeah, I don't think there is a lot of men, but we definitely have a pleasure of having some members in the community who are men. And it's really nice to see how this field is transforming a little bit. It used to be very heavily dominated by women. I got to step back, right, and tell that, thousands of years ago when yoga just originated, it was mostly men, because women were too busy with other things.
Mostly men, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It shifted significantly in our time in our Western world.
So what does Atha mean when you named your studio?
So there is a text that is called Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and Atha is the first word of that text. Atha means to begin something, and not just to begin, but to begin with this auspiciously, with this fully developed, drive and urgency to go to the completion, to really fulfill that beginning and finish it. I don't know how to, with grace and a trophy. That's what Atha is. Literally, very, very little Sanskrit word, but with a big meaning.
It's beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. What made you pick this area to start your business?
It's just kind of happened. We moved to this area of Charlotte back in 2020, right before the pandemic. And that space actually hosted some kind of a yoga studio long before me. There was one yoga studio, then there was another yoga studio in that space. And I just happened to be there, and we built upon, existing energy, so to speak.
Hey, that's wonderful, wonderful. So what are you most proud of with your business or your life, actually?
Well, that's a hard one. I'm really, really happy with all of my teachers, and I'm, selfishly proud that I'm surrounded with this amazing, skillful, experienced teachers who I'm personally learning from every day. And my absolutely golden community, soulful community. It's I just recently put the Ubuntu phrase on our magnets and stickers. We are because you are. And that phrase, I think, really describes the studio and the community in the studio, because it's just such a beautiful feeling stepping into that space and just knowing all those people and having all those people practicing alongside them. It's the best.
Well, created a family, and your studio is beautiful.
It is a family, yeah.
So when you're not doing work and all of that, what do you do for fun?
Well, one is going to be really wild because I really love combing through the latest and greatest biomedical research articles.
Wow.
Designing, pulling all the data out and designing the workshop and the master classes and all the other wellness tools that we have at the studio. Like the recent one, we had the retreat for women, where we went into the whole physiology of an amazing woman body and how to sustain ourselves into our later years, perimenopause years and menopause years, how to support the hormones and how to manage all that. It's a huge health predicament, if not to say crisis, in the current medical system. So give me, a good cup of tea and the croissant, and let me browse PubMed for a few hours. I'll come out very happy and refreshed.
Oh my goodness, it's fascinating.
And
well,
then
I love your joy, and when you're doing, I can see what you love doing.
Thank you. I mean, second fun thing, if that's too nerdy, that's going to be a cliche. One's going to be wild, another's going to be cliche. I love going out to nature. Right? What yoga teacher doesn't like a good hike? I like to take my 7-year-old son for a day at Whitewater Center, or, for a trip out into the mountains, get some hike to the waterfalls. And while at it, I actually wanted to bring up, if people are listening, Helen and Milton really brought devastation to the regions that we love and treasure so much in the Western North Carolina. And I know these events are out of the news by now. It's been 4 weeks, and other things, November things, are on our forefront, I guess. But people are still, thousands of people are without water and without electricity. So please keep donating, keep sending resources there. They still need blankets and warm clothes and anything, FEMA collects and Good Samaritans collect, and all the local businesses are sending packages there. My yogis travel there weekly to bring like warm clothes and blankets and sanitizers and pet food and all the things that people need there.
Yeah, really unbelievable, and such a beautiful place.
Devastating, really.
Our hearts and prayers will be with them for a very, very long time as they get back on their feet. Well, Olga, it has been a pleasure chatting with you. I will be coming to see you. I'm super intrigued. I love the mind, body, soul that I think what yoga does.
True. Thank you so much, Regina. Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
Absolutely. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpsouthcharlotte.com. That's gnpsouthcharlotte.com, or call 980-351-5719.